what up?
Dude, just go to a different realm without a queue, man.
I refuse. I will suffer before I abandon Mr. Bigglesworth.
Hey, it's Soul, and welcome back to another episode of Warcraft Weekly, the show that really hopes that there was not a PTR deployed between now of this recording and when you actually watch this video, but you're probably not here for that, are you? As always, I am extremely grateful for our very generous patrons and Twitch subscribers that keep this channel going. We also have a few new friends to add, including Nicholas and Lord Hotum. Lord Hotum hails from Baleful, a small but prosperous region known for its high-quality soil, as well as pogs.
Oh, buddy.
Nicholas has a cool bike. It's red. Ooh. Anyway, let's get to WoW Classic, arguably one of the most successful MMO launches since World of Warcraft. The hours before its launch were filled with embarrassing amounts of celebration, nostalgia, and fear. Fear over stability, of the possibly long queues, and if the experience of Classic would be the same as Vanilla WoW released 15 years ago. And yet our fears were totally unfounded because we knew that it was all going to shit. The footage that you see here are the first few seconds of Classic's launch, the race to 60, the doors being opened, the curtain rising, the return home. I happen to have Asmongold stream running in the background, so let's have a listen.
Are you in, dude? Are you in, dude?
Are you in, dude? Oh my god.
Dude? Are you in, dude?
Yeah.
Dude, are you in?
Listen, yes, I'm in.
Okay, just a second. All right, let's set up your face.
Yeah, welcome home, I guess. The launch of WoW Classic is much more than just the first few hours or even days of its release. It's still happening now, with players coming in to leave their impressions as the weekend comes. And yet we didn't need that much time at all to see that this release is being met with a crushing response in part of the players that are all eager to take part in the action. Over on Twitch, over 1 million people were checking out the top streamers as they barreled their way in, including Asmongold, who peaked at just about 300,000 viewers at one point. This was surpassed only a few days later when streamer Joker D peaked a bit over 340,000 viewers, as he became the world's first level 60 character on Classic.
Well, what else was everyone going to do while they're in queue?
Ah yes, queues. No, queues. Thank you. The first hours and days after the launch of Classic moved in slow motion for a lot of players, with some realms having queues in excess of 5 hours. Those players who logged in even just a few minutes after launch were pissed off to see these ridiculous queue numbers. Those who weren't able to queue up remotely, like if they were at work, they were pretty pissed. Players who did get in, only to be disconnected due to like a network issue and then kicked to the back of the line, also pissed. Shady practices like using bots to prevent accounts from logging out due to inactivity, well, that pissed off players all the more, although that's probably a minor issue, and yet their visibility sure didn't help things. For many players though, well, they didn't have very many problems at all thanks to practicing one simple discipline.
Double bagging.
No, I mean just waiting until things settle down. Double bag. According to launch stats that I'm totally making up, the launch of a new MMO typically results in a day one cluster. While Classic is a bit unique because it's a re-release, meaning Blizzard should have known what was coming, but it happened anyway. Seeing overwhelming demand for your game would typically be met with the response of, oh my gosh, we better lay down a bunch of servers as quickly as we can because that means more of that sweet money. I would think that would be a good idea. You would think they would, but they didn't. Heyo. However, even now, they're being extremely conservative about launching realms. It's because they've learned the lessons of 15 years ago that managing over 200 realms turns into a really big freaking problem. So Blizzard has been doing everything else instead. Yeah, they've been launching realms every few days. Another one. US realms started with 13, and as of this recording, we're at 34. By comparison, according to Wowpedia, Vanilla WoW launched with roughly 90 realms, although we know that today's realms handle a much higher maximum number of concurrent players. Blizzard also employs new layering technology to inflate the realm caps even further by allowing multiple instances of realms to exist. But it's still not enough. The other day, Blizzard raised the realm cap on all of its realms, which is sort of like adding a bunch more realms worth of players. So things are better, but for the most heavily impacted realms, it's still not enough. Yeah, so too bad, Classic fans. It's a shame that you guys aren't getting sharding technology. Ow! Yeah, okay. There's a lot that could be said about images like these.
Yeah, that classic WoW is clearly what the people want, and no one cares about your retail WoW dystopia. Wait, what's that?
That's a screenshot of the realms over on BFA, taken at the same time as your screenshot.
Man, what's wrong with these people?
Despite persistent queues on some realms, you're more than likely to be able to play on at least some realm at any time of the day these days. You know what these pictures tell me? They tell me that a lot of people are playing or are interested in the World of Warcraft right now, and that's super exciting. It's been a few days since launch, meaning that those of us who have been patient are experiencing a much smoother launch experience. Better accessibility, less lag, less congestion in the starting areas. I have to admit that apart from the queues, this launch is even more stable than Vanilla's launch was. I really can't stress this enough though, that over on the most populated realms, tempers are as high as the realm queues. It's thanks to the efforts at people over at Wowhead that they're able to keep people up to date on which realms are the most heavily impacted and at which times. Overall, and don't punch me again please, I think Blizzard did pretty well, considering how careful they're trying to avoid exercising their last resort, which is to launch more realms. The question that we've been asking, that we're still going to ask, and we might ask, historically, is Blizzard doing too little to address this whole realm population problem, or are they doing too much? I know that this is not a popular thought, especially for those of you right now who are still in queue that really want to play with your friends in these really high population servers, but I get it when I see that Blizzard really wants to avoid having, say, 50 or 60 realms available per region at launch. For now though, we get to look forward to WoW Classic's very first weekend. How many level 60s will there be? At least as of right now, 1. And throughout the weekend, as we see more of them, how many of them are actually going to be on the same realm so they can run dungeons and start doing stuff together? How's Blizzard going to handle that rush? But let's break away from those conversations for just a moment, because on a smaller note, in fact you can say on a handheld note,
Boo.
Coming from China, new phones are entering their market. The Redmi Note 8 Pro is a phone similar in size and style to the recently announced Galaxy Note 10. More importantly though, they're themed after the World of Warcraft, with plenty of marketing referring to WoW and WoW Classic. Here's what you're going to get in the two variants. The Horde version comes in a reasonable black and includes a black and, well, you can kind of see that red case over there. The Alliance version comes in a what the heck are you thinking that's going to change color really quick white, but it also comes with its own black case with a blue trim. Now that's fine and all, but any news that includes Blizzard and mobile devices isn't like mentioning R. Kelly and any kind of news. There's going to be some very fast judgments made. After all, it is extremely unlikely that WoW will ever be ported to mobile phones.
Hey Soul, aren't you recording right now?
Yeah, I'm just doing some farming in the meantime.
Oh god, what is that?
It's WoW on my phone, duh.
But you said...
Oh, I said WoW wouldn't be on mobile. WoW Classic though? Pfft, easy. That wasn't the only news celebrating Classic's launch. An online advertisement made the rounds, quickly propelling itself to be one of WoW's most memorable ever. Well-known celebrities, streamers, and other personalities showed up to film a very wholesome jingle to celebrate launch day.
We're going back to a place where anything can kill ya!
It really is a great watch, and that one line, it left a bit of an impression on me. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek, a reference to the slower leveling pace of yesterday's WoW compared to today, which is pretty much like Dynasty Warriors. Personally, I've always seen Vanilla's 1 to 60 experience as the coming of age and the rising of the champion. Every expansion after that has been the champion's adventures and exploits around the world and across the stars. When we move away from the romanticism though, yeah, we're left with characters of incredible power and this awkward experience when we explore a so-called savage land filled with temporary, soon-to-be trivial dangers. But can we ever go back to a World of Warcraft where anything can kill us again? It really is a complicated dilemma with a lot of pieces to contend with, and yet, hearing this jingle makes me wonder, did Blizzard figure it out, or are they close to? We just might hear them address this directly in just a few months over at BlizzCon. So it's got me really excited for WoW, both the classic version and the retail version. You know what? I was hoping that this whole retail label thing was gonna go away, and it's not, and I just find it really obnoxious. I guess I've just been conditioned, thanks to like reading forums and comments all the time, that retail is referred to as like the so-called inferior game, while classic is supposed to be the savior meant to save us all and take us to... Okay, let's kind of like, okay, I think I got this. Can I put it here? Is it gonna stay? Okay, here we go. Welcome to the What of the Week, where I take some of the ridiculous musings of the Warcraft community and then I talk them down and then I move on. There's a lot of ridiculous talk going around like,
Haha, classic subs are gonna overtake BFA.
lol, classic is gonna be dead in a month.
Level 60 in 3 days, where's the challenge?
Blah, 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 blah. But nothing was as inane as this freaking 10-minute ramble that I did over on an earlier stream. I just kept going on, trying to draw on my own industry experience as if it made me a position of authority, and trying to correct just a naming convention when all I would accomplish is to have people dig into their heels, all the while laughing at me. Oh, you got something to say?
No, you're handling yourself quite well. Please continue.
Anyway, I'm just going to refer to WoW the same way Blizzard does in their promotional materials. There's WoW and WoW Classic.
That's it.
What? Quite the shill, right guys? I mentioned this earlier, but in response to the overwhelming number of players trying to log on a Classic, Blizzard added tens of realms. Not only that, they also raised the maximum player cap by a pretty significant amount to where, at least for now, only a few realms still have very high queues. In the short term, this is freaking great. It gets more people on to join their friends so they can all die together instead of alone. It did get pretty confusing seeing every realm look full, but among the full realms, the queue times were still all over the place. So with the raised caps, people can more easily see which realms are the better choice for them. By raising the maximum cap though, Blizzard is basically kicking the can down the road. They're saving their problems for tomorrow, or solving today's bottlenecks, while at the same time making a calculated risk. They're gambling. Because the most impacted realms on the EU and the US side, they still have really high queue times. In a few weeks or so, Blizzard hopes to end Phase 1, and that's when layering is going to be turned off. By then, players on those realms should have already made their choice on whether they want to just play, move on to another server and play, or take their own risk and hope that other people leave, which means possibly dealing with these 3 to 5 hour queues consistently. I absolutely fully expect that towards the end of Phase 1, Blizzard is going to offer free transfers off of these highly impacted realms, either to over low pop realms, or they're going to open up some more realms and throw people there. So good luck to the realm that receives overflow from Faralina, which is the streamer server. My question to you folks at home, or on the toilet, or still in queue, why stay? And I'm not trying to call you out or talk down on your preferences, but I would just like to read some of the discussions that you've had with yourself or with your friends on just why you're going to hold out for as long as you can on these realms. And for those of you who are joining us over at Classic WoW now, a few days after the launch, what's your experience like? Is it smooth? Is it congested? Are you getting ganked already? Moving on, with Classic WoW out in the wild now, we can finally begin to set the stage for a 2019 version of an age-old conversation. What can the Blizzard team really learn from Classic? This is the kind of discussion that'll take some time to flesh out, as fans both old and new are going to take their bite out of Classic and see how it tastes 15 years later. It's not going to be as simple as, see you guys, the vanilla talent trees are freaking awesome and Titan Forging sucks. Yeah, that's related. Or, welcome back to the real WoW, man. Let's get on our flying mounts and pretend that we have something to do. The differences between WoW and WoW Classic, they start at the bottom. They work our way to the top. Pretty much everything feels different. I would love to hear your opinions on just what it is about Classic that should come to today's and tomorrow's WoW. I'm going to be covering this subject in the weeks and months leading up to BlizzCon, so for those of you who really like my talks on game design with suggestions and theories and headcanon and whatnot, well, strap in. I'm going to get back into that. So check back in every now and then. I already mentioned the possibility that Blizzard can make the world feel a little bit more dangerous if they go through with a really big shift in class design. This time, I'm going to talk about how the structure of our communities and realms has reshaped some of our content in WoW, but I'm not talking about what Blizzard spoon feeds us in each patch. Once upon a time, there were realms and realm communities, each with their own distinct personality. Over time, that sense of identity and personality changed, thanks to passive cross-realm technology and blurring the divides that once separated players. Today's WoW sort of has this feeling of being anonymous in a massive city, only with sharding to confuse people due to the... okay, that's kind of confusing. Unfortunately, many realms have lost their sense of identity in exchange for quality of life features like the pre-made group tool, but there are a few holdouts. Roleplay realms, for example, well, those are realms of small, kind of microcosms of stories and other plot lines that players can just kind of jump into. Think of realms like Moonguard.
I already was. I had you beat. Haha, beat.
Right. There are, of course, guilds. And really, if you've managed to stay in a decent and social guild for most of your WoW career, you should probably consider yourself part of the minority of players, as well as pretty lucky. What makes all of these communities special is that they participate in all the various forms of WoW content, but they create their own unique experience within them. With the prominence of the Pug World, Cross-Realm, and sharding shenanigans, some players have looked for something to rally behind, especially in recent years. And they found them. Streamers, Twitch communities. Think of events like duel tournaments, transmog contests, achievement runs, or big PvP raid fights organized by personalities. The people who participate in them love them. People who read about them, they might feel envious that they might have missed out, and they long for that good old feel of players just coming together. Of course, in many of these situations, these players were only able to get together thanks to cross-realm invites, but that's beside the point. In today's WoW, realm community has eroded, while streamers and other personalities have been picking up the slack. What's sort of ironic is that now, in WoW Classic, you have to be on the same realm where these streamers and their events take place, making it much more difficult for viewers to join, as well as causing problems for those who don't really care to participate in these events anyway. In response to their own actions, Blizzard introduced WoW communities during the Battle for Azeroth expansion. So far, there are strong indicators that point to a big update to that system in patch 8.2.5, where you can finally search for communities based on your preference, whether it's to group up for content, to roleplay, to be social, or to organize custom events. Unfortunately, Blizzard made the mistake of bringing in WoW communities before the tool was really finished, and I've been talking about this for months. Despite my positive reactions to the upcoming changes, and you can take a look at a video linked below where I talk about it, players might not care. They might already feel burned out. So if them or you are just playing Classic instead, hey, sweet. There's a lot more Blizzard can do to improve realm identity in today's WoW. I'm going to try talking about that next week though. If sharding and cross-realm stuff messed with the sense of community in WoW, WoW communities, haha, that's kind of a funny name now, they're kind of the answer to help redefine that identity and to give it a little bit of glue. But tools are useless if nobody uses them. Setting up cool community things typically just starts with one person, like you. I will be the first to admit that I am not great at setting up events or stuff like this. I don't think I'm up to the task. Just thinking about doing it makes me really anxious, but I'm going to give it a try. So, everyone, I have an announcement. I want to call on the engineers of WoW over here in the US region. So if you have a Blingtron, either the 4000, the 5000, or even the 7000, I want you to show up and be part of what might be the first Blingtron Battle Royale. If you didn't know already, when two Blingtrons are standing too close to each other, they fight.
Because in the end, there can only be one.
So I would love to have you join the stream over on Twitch. Hop into my WoW community, there are links to both of them below, and preferably be a Horde player, because at least off the top of my head, I have no idea what happens when cross-faction Blingtrons get together. The rules are going to be very simple. We're all going to be in a raid group, hence why we should all be Horde anyway. We're going to stack together in a small area, and then on the count of 3, we all pop our Blingtrons. And then we're just gonna see what happens. At the end, the last Blingtron left standing, or the one with the most buffs because they gain a stacking buff as they kill other Blingtrons, they will be the winner.
This sounds really inhumane.
We're gonna try doing this around 12 PM Pacific, Tuesday, September 3rd at the end of my Coffee and WoW stream. To be honest, I just want to see if this works, so we're just doing this for fun. No prizes. Not yet. So if only one person shows up, we're still on. We're still gonna do it. Yeah. If no one shows, then you can watch me dual box it. It's gonna be really awkward then, but oh well. WoW Classic, with its fewer features and endgame content, is actually kind of a bit of charm, and it compels players to create stories and adventures of their own. Today's WoW features a lot of meaty content to take up players' time, but maybe it's oversaturated some players to the point where WoW to them is only the sum of what the game is, what Blizzard provides, and not what inventive players can think up. I just want this game to be better. 8.2.5 might bring us a little bit of relief, but more ought to be done too. I'm going to talk about that soon, but for now, let's wrap up. This week has been hecka long, right? Especially for those who have been sitting in queues. Heck, you might be in a queue right now. I feel really bad, but I salute you to your dedication. I mean, come on. You want to play Classic this bad, and it shows. I acknowledge you, right? This is going to be an unforgettable week, though. The launch of Classic, the first level 60, and what have you. And there's more to come. Classic WoW, it's part of the World of Warcraft culture now. And you know, if you are sitting at opposite ends of the aisle, if you acknowledge these aisles, well, yeah, you have a choice to make. Are we going to continue posting threads and comments validating our beliefs along with not so subtle jabs at the game that we don't prefer? Or do we want to just come together and appreciate each other as fellow fans? I said in a tweet earlier this week, which happened to be like one of the most popular tweets I ever made, where I said, Classic WoW feels like leveling an alt. I stand by that. I really do. At the same time, though, I popped into Classic because sometimes playing an alt feels fun and refreshing. The launch of Classic is a big milestone in Blizzard's history and for 2019 in total, but we still have like 3 months left to go, yo. We now have a World of Warcraft that we can not just look back to, but we could just go play it. And in a few months, we hope to get news on a WoW to look forward to. And we can go back and forth freely. I'm excited to see you in both worlds, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video and all that stuff. I do stuff like this, and all things Warcraft. And I'll see you soon. So you guys have a terrific weekend. Don't push yourself too hard, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.